health and fitness with David Hollywood.
With DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service at dssports.ie.
Hello and welcome to the show. We've spent the week lining up as many interesting, engaging and positive people for you to enjoy today. The Tullamore Half Marathon is just around the corner. It's the biggest race in the region. It's a celebration of athletics, and you'll hear from the people who volunteer their time to make sure everything runs like clockwork on the day. If you stay with me today, by the way, you're going to learn about the world of competitive wood chopping. Ireland's first ever representative in the World Lumberjack Championships is Leishman Gavin Thompson, and he's on this week's programme. We check in with the Offaly Soccer Club hosting a 24-hour soccer marathon, and you'll hear from a Leishman driven by a personal fascination with sports apparel that's led him to build a roaring business. The Tullamore Harriers are set to play host to one of the biggest events on the racing calendar in Ireland. It is the Tullamore Half Marathon. I'm very glad to say joining me live in studio is Mary Daly, Club Registrar and Events Officer with Tullamore Harriers. Mary, at the time of recording now, we are just 3 weeks away from the start of the race itself. So I imagine everyone from the club, particularly those involved in the background and setting it all up, getting excited now, looking forward to the big day taking place.
Yeah, really getting busy now. Preparation is in full swing. We have a relatively small race committee, but now we're spreading our wings, and all the club, everybody is coming on board to sort of pull it all together.
Is it the biggest day in the Harriers calendar?
It is by far, yeah. It's huge, yeah. It's a great day.
It's a whopper operation.
It is huge.
Tell us what actually goes into it in the background. When does the prep start? Talk us through that.
Okay. The planning really began about 10 months ago, and lots of groundwork was set in place by early 2024, mainly advertising the race in the hope of selling, attracting a good entry. There's lots of half marathons throughout the summer months especially, so we needed to get the word out early and sell our product as such, and it worked because we sold out early this year, and there's lots of people looking to get in, and we're sold out. So it sold out in record time. And I suppose when you go to any race or event, you just rock up there, run your race and go home, and nobody knows the work that goes on behind the scenes to make it all happen. Way back in November, it was about setting the race up and communicating with the proper authorities and organisations.
It's that
nationally.
early. You need
You'd
to
have to
get ahead and
yeah.
let. So when you say the proper authorities,
you have to contact Athletics Ireland to get a permit to allow it to go ahead. Then you'd have to contact the Gardaí, the Offaly County Council for the road closures, the Civil Defence, all the background, our race timing company, which is My Run Results. You have to set everything in place. You have to start looking at T-shirts and medals because they have to be ordered so far in advance. You just have to set those things in motion.
So when we finish up on the 31st of August, cross the line, get our T-shirt or a medal or whatever it is, it's only about 6 or 8 weeks away from you guys thinking we need to get the ball rolling on 2025.
Yeah. It's generally the plan is get it out and open for entries before Christmas. Generally, and we usually do it in November. So there's a lot of work to set it in motion.
Okay, so that's what is involved in getting the ball rolling. What happens once you kind of get those initial bits and pieces lined up?
Then we have to work with the Offaly County Council. The road closures is the big thing, really. It's a huge thing. With 1,400 runners on the road and up to 2,000 supporters in Tullamore on the 31st of August, it does need a lot of planning to pull it off. Traffic control and safety, number one. And, the Gardaí, everybody, we work with them just to make sure we pull it off properly. And we need to especially thank you to Offaly County Council for their cooperation on this. Closing the road is not just simply putting up signs and blocking traffic. We must notify the residents on the route and the surrounding areas, and allow them ample time to revert if they need to use that particular part of the road at any stage during the race. For athletes, running on closed road is brilliant, for safety on their perspective. But for our race organisers, we need it because you couldn't allow all those people on the road at the one time with traffic, because it's the route is busy. All the roads are busy, really. So that is the main thing. Then the sponsors, which are very important to us, we have to contact them, the existing sponsors, and hopefully we'll get more sponsors. And thankfully this year, Borden are our main sponsor again, and we really appreciate it. Then there's a lot of other businesses around the town who have been with us since day one.
And they all kind of recurringly jump back in and support the race.
Yeah. And a lot of those are our own club members, which is really appreciated.
Oh, magic. Of course.
Yeah, so it's that you'd have to secure that early as well. You can't just organise that the day before, the week before. So all that is in the early stages. Then contacting other factors, you'd have to contact other sporting clubs to make sure they don't have an event on the same day, so traffic, wouldn't conflict with them. Yeah. And that's basically the starting, the preparation.
It's a fair whack. And you mentioned that this race has sold out already. Yeah. And my experience since I've moved to Tullamore is that its popularity is massive. The numbers are really big. Yeah. The town is very welcoming of the event as well. Yeah. What's that kind of progression and trajectory been like for the half marathon? Like, where did it start off at, and how would you evaluate its popularity today?
The first race was 2013, and that was the 60th anniversary of Tullamore Harriers. We had 368 finishers, and now 1,400, almost 1,400 last year, and possibly 1,400 this year as well. So I think Tullamore Harriers has built up as a huge reputation for organising events. All during the summer, the national and provincial track and field events were in Tullamore, and it's compliments all the time how well they're organised, and anything that Tullamore Harriers, in fairness, organise, it has great feedback. So I feel that's an attraction anyway, that if I can go to sign up for a race, it will be a good one as such, and it has a lot to offer. Parking, like there's many a race you go to, you'd have to park a mile away, 2 miles away, you just can't get parking. Tullamore Harriers has it on site. Showers, the course, the closed roads is a huge bonus. It's well supported all along the route with lots of marshals all along, and that's great. Enthusiastic marshals they are too. So that's great for the participants.
Is it indicative that the sport is in a healthy place, do you think, in the region, in the Midlands? I know that every sport went through its own kind of shock through the pandemic about participation, and then having to shut down and then coming back. And running was a funny one, because I think a lot of people were able to continue that on their lonesome for that period. Yeah. Where do you think running is at? Let's say, I think you've been with the club for 20 odd years. What are the numbers like for regular training sessions and that type of thing these days compared to before?
Before COVID, yes, I feel the numbers are back up again. The membership is back up. You'd see local races like the Offaly Race Series, and the numbers are well up again. It did take a while. It did take a while for the numbers to come back up. Yeah, definitely. I feel it's in a good place. And our races locally here, they do attract large numbers really. So I would safely say it is back up to pre-COVID.
Talk to us, let's fast forward to the 31st of August. It's the day of the race. You are the events officer. So am I right in presuming you won't be running in it?
No, I won't. I'll be watching.
Have you duties on the day that would preclude you from actually taking it on?
Yeah, I prefer to be on the sideline watching the twos and fros on the...
I'd say most of us would be preferring that at some point during the race. But what's on for you during the day? You'll be able to watch the race go by to some degree. Anyway.
Well, really, I'll be in the stadium. I won't be out on the... So you see the start. The day will start very early with all our hard-working marshals and team. They'll possibly be in the club from 6:30 in the morning. The timing company will be in early as well. The lads who set up the course, build up the course, they'll be gone out to put up the markers all around. Lots of jobs, setting up the goodie bags, the medals. There's a lot of work to set it in motion. The girls who are doing the post-race refreshments, very busy, very busy setting up that as well. So it's a real busy busy spot on, and a lovely spot.
I was just going to say, like the atmosphere early in the morning when it's still quiet, but there's the few of you there getting everything organised. That must be really cool.
It's I don't know whether cool. It's stressful, but it's lovely. Like we rely on our club members to help out. Those who are not running. We rely on their families, and we rely on friends, and people come from everywhere to help. And you just look around, and it's lovely. You see, they don't have to be here, but they are there, and there's a lovely feel. And especially when the race is over, actually, the tidy up is good fun too. It's a lovely feel to it, I have to say.
You've that afterglow of a successful event having been held, and so that kind of makes the afters enjoyable in that respect. There'll be, as you mentioned, lots of people taking part this year. So we may well have some people listening that are running the Tullamore Half Marathon this year. For those who are taking it on for the first time, most people will be diligent enough in doing their mileage over the course of the summer to make sure that they can take on the long run. So if they're in that position, how should they approach the last few weeks ahead of the race, and how should they approach race day? I'm not looking for mad technical knowledge here, but the kind of key club running tenets that you always hear when it comes to the long races.
Well, the number one is don't change anything. Don't wear new shoes and new socks on race day expecting miracles. No, just don't change any of your normal race routine. Make sure you're well hydrated. Maybe the few days beforehand, taking a few extra calories during that week so that you're well, your tank is full, as they say. There's water stations all along the course, but make sure you're hydrated, and that will definitely help you. We're always lucky with a really nice day on Half Marathon Day, so it's bound to be warm. Just really, don't deviate from your plan. Set a realistic goal. We have pacers, so sit in behind a pacer and don't run off ahead of the pacer. So basically, it's just easing off coming into the race, well hydrated, well fuelled, and just hopefully it'll all fall into place then.
You mentioned something that's quite smart there, and it's great to have the pacers because I think if you've not taken on a race of that distance, you can feel after 5k, 10k, I could go quicker here.
I know.
And then the second half of the race, when it's 15, 20k, that's when you feel what you gave away earlier.
Yeah, you're lost. And the pacers are really good. It's not willy-nilly that we select the pacers. They're good, balanced, steady runners. So, and they will support the first timers, support the more experienced runners, and stick to the pace.
And those pacer groups, they're a bit of crack actually, because you spend well over an hour in the company of these people, and you end up getting to know people one way or the other.
Yeah. Very often at the end of a race, you'll see that. If somebody puts up a comment, "Thank you for the pacer of such and such a time." The athletes really do appreciate it. To bring them around, really. So very important to stick with the pacers.
All to look forward to. Finally, we'll finish up talking about the club itself, Tullamore Harriers. What's been going on? I know that, as you mentioned there, Athletics Ireland and the broader athletics community in the country look to the Tullamore Harriers to stage some of the big national championships, and that was the case again over the course of the last couple of weeks. Yeah,
really from the month of May until last weekend, practically every weekend, the stadium was booked for national and provincial track and field events. So it finished actually on a bank holiday weekend just gone. And, our own club chairman, Adrian Curley, puts in huge work every weekend, and the rest of the team as well. But there's an awful lot of work preparing and tidying up after those competitions. On Saturday last, the National Under-20 and Under-23 Championships was held, and our own Michael Murphy, he won the national 5k event. He had a great race in 15:00:45, and then Cian Law, who's also a member, he secured this silver medal in 15:30. So great runs by the two lads. And Alicia Maher then is one of our very promising young girls. She just missed the podium with a fourth place finish in the 100 metre, and she posted a PB in 12:27.
When it comes to running in a championship race, and if you post a PB, I just think it's so important for young athletes as well. That's where the focus should always be.
Exactly.
If you can focus on being your personal best,
yes,
sure, that's what you've got, isn't it?
Yeah, and especially when they're young, there's fierce pressure. So a personal best is the best you can do, and it is excellent.
It really is. And you just look at the example of Sophie O'Sullivan, Sonia's daughter, ran a PB in the heat for the 1500.
Yes.
7th, 6 got through.
Yes.
Do you know, it's just part of this. It's part of sport.
It is, yeah. You have to take the good out of. You have to take the good.
You've hosted the Masters as well, which as a recently turned over 35-year-old in the last couple of years, I'm in favour of this kind of idea.
Yeah.
No, I went to the championships, not this year, I missed it, but the year before, just to watch, and brilliant atmosphere, and just really life affirming to see what people from the age of 35 upwards and way upwards.
Inspirational, isn't it? Yeah, right up to the 80s. Our own Jim Langan is 82 or 3.
It's amazing.
He came away with national medals on Sunday. So that was Sunday, the National Masters event. We had 10 athletes, which was brilliant. And I suppose Kevin Minnock had a standout performance. He came away with 3 national medals in the over 35 800 metre, the over 35 1500 metre, and then in the 4x100 relay.
He'd be feeling the legs that evening, I would say.
Yeah, no, he really ran very well in really variable distances,
It's incredible, he's a real range there.
Yeah, very good. And he'll most likely be on the start line of the half marathon as well.
Good on him.
Yeah, we had 10 athletes, all did so well. It was great. So it was a great way to finish the track and field season.
That's the track and field season. You've got the half marathon coming up at the end of the month. So look, we'll wish you the very best with it.
Thank you very much.
We're sure it'll be a success as it has been over the years.
Hopefully.
And Mary, thanks very much for coming in to us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Next up, it's time to talk about the World Lumberjack Championships.
Health and fitness.
With DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports. With gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dssports.ie.
Midlands 103.
The World Lumberjack Championships took place in Wisconsin last week, and the Midlands had representation. Portlaois's Gavin Thompson became the first Irish competitor to take part in the competition. He's on Health and Fitness with us this evening, and when I say this event is huge, it's a massive festival of all things lumberjack. Some of the competitive timber-related tests include chainsaw and chopping challenges, log rolling, speed climbing, a huge amount beyond that. As I said, Gavin is on with us this evening on Health and Fitness. Gavin, thanks for joining us. Tell us, how was your experience at the World Lumberjack Championships?
Hi Dave, how's things? No, it was a great experience. I just absolutely had a blast over there. It was unbelievable, to be sat in the change rooms with the best of the best from all over the world. It was picking up tips and advice from everyone around. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to get you to do some kind of explaining for me here, because I'm bringing a bit of ignorance into our conversation. I know, for instance, you were involved in the underhand chop competition and the standing chop competition. What else were you involved in, and can you kind of tell us a bit about what those specific challenges involve? Yeah,
so initially when I entered the wood chopping side of things, because that's predominantly what I do, what I train for over here. So I entered the underhand chop, which would be the one where it sounds a bit crazy, but it's to simulate cutting a log in half. So you basically stand up on a log and you chop between your feet. Okay. So you chop one half first, spin around, and then chop the other half.
Yeah.
The standing block it's on the vertical, and you're swinging at it as if it's kind of funny one, as if you're pulling with a hurl, shall we say. So you basically chop one half first, and then you run around to the other side and chop the other half. The other one then would be the third and final one, is a bit of a nemesis of mine, is a springboard. So you what we call pockets. So you put little notches into the trunk of the tree to simulate getting above the buttresses back in the old days. So you put the notches into the tree, and you put a board in with a metal tip in, and you jam that in, jump onto it, put another pocket in, jam that in, and then you're standing on literally say 6 foot of a plank by about 7 inches, and you stood on top of that, and then you swing. Then basically you're swinging at a block of timber on top of that, say from depending on the competition, up to about 14 inches, and that's the one that that really saps you, you know.
I was just going to say,
'Cause
I can understand by your description as to why that would be your nemesis. It sounds
yeah,
obscenely difficult.
yeah, it's just so many different parts of it. So you're going full on concentration because you've got it's like anything. Yeah, it's like them all really because you're swinging an axe that's razor sharp, and yeah, if you know you've got to get everything so accurate, and then you're putting these boards in, and you're standing on top of them. So by the time you actually finish, you're actually about 9 foot up in the air, and then you're swinging a razor sharp axe at a block of timber on top of on the 9 foot up. So yeah.
It's amazing. And come here, I was reading as well that I think was it last year you got a top 5 finish in the British Pro Championships in these disciplines. How did the level compare with, say, the British Pro Championships and what you saw at Wisconsin last week? Like, how high is the level of the best in these chopping events?
It's it's another notch above.
Okay.
It's so okay, the boys, like the top end, to say the top 2 boys over in the British would have been at the top level over there. It's just the whole group over there is at that next notch, if you understand what I mean. It's they've how do I put it? It's kind of a generational thing. So these would be guys that would have been competing um, or been trained by fathers and grandfathers throughout the course of their lifetime, if you understand what I mean.
Born
And
into
and
it,
they've been
they've lived the life of a lumberjack as long as
yeah,
they can remember.
yeah, yeah. So that's maybe we're the first generation in Ireland to do it. So we're picking up tips the whole time of people, you know. Um, just just little things about don't be in such a rush. I suppose it's a bit like a golf swing. If you rush a golf swing, it throws all your timing off. So just slow down, you know, relax. Because if the more tense you are, you're more likely to burn out. You know, that kind of a way. But it's just little things like that. Compared to the bit, getting back to it's just that everyone's at that top level. Do you understand? If you kind of understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And that's really interesting. The kind of tips that you got were kind of centered around the idea of less is more in a certain way because you're all powerful guys, but it's about being accurate, deliberate, using good technique, and actually being able to maintain a certain level of power over the period of the specific competition.
Yeah, very much so. Um, yeah, it's very much so like that because uh, at one point, like power will get you so far, and I know lads that are big and powerful, and they just absolutely burst a block of timber out the way, but they have that kind of big size that they can do it. Whereas if you're small and slight, it's all technique and how do you say technique and speed. So it's one of them. It's all relevant to what you can do, if you understand what I mean. Like a lot of lads will be like it's such a variedness as well. There's no one body size type. It's a bit like rugby in that kind of sense. You have small little lads there that are beating the big heavy lads as well. So it is a lot of comes down to a lot of technique as well.
Okay,
As well.
that's really interesting. And
Mm.
tell us, how did you get into competing in this sport? Because it's not one, as you just said there, not a multi-generational pastime in most respects in this country. How did you end up finding it yourself?
I'll be honest with you. I seen some guys I don't know, how do you say it? Wood chopping in, I think it was ploughing, I think, years ago.
Okay.
And so I just kind of seen it, got chatting to him. And at the time, I was in the forestry industry at the time as well. So it was kind of a transition of, keeping my foot in the timber world, because I then changed jobs as well. But I wanted to keep that connection of, you know, of being in the forestry, which kind of give me an excuse to still pick up a chainsaw or, split a bit of timber. But I kind of, I'll be honest with you, I kind of tipped along at it. It was more of a hobby for a number of years, good number of years, and then with the result in the British Championships, a few guys came up to me, as you mentioned, I finished fifth, and a few guys came up to me and says, if you actually applied yourself at this, you would actually push on, and that's kind of been what I've been doing the last 18 months, with it. So yeah, I've really put the head down and cracked on with it.
That must be really satisfying and encouraging, when I think we can all relate to the experience of being a novice in a sport, and then those first few weeks and months you get an idea of if you actually have a bit of a talent towards it, especially if people are coming up to you and saying, come here, apply yourself to this, and you've actually got the makings of someone who could be really competitive. That must have been a really positive experience to find something that I suppose it wouldn't have been a shock if you played rugby. You worked in the forestry industry previous. You would have had the makings of a decent competitive lumberjack, let's say.
Yeah, yeah. It was it was it was one of them. It was kind of, as you say, making of a good lumberjack. You just have to. It's a bit like rugby. You just have to just just have especially going up on that springboard. It's kind of, as somebody told me once years ago, take that little that two brain cells you have and put one in the kit bag. You don't need that. Just concentrate what you're going to be doing. It's but as you say, yeah, it was how do you say, making of a lumberjack? Yeah, it'd be trying to. Yeah, it was especially when you have guys from the UK that are like that generational kind of thing coming up to you saying, "Geez, Gav, you've done well on that." And at the time, I was training for the gym and everything, but I wasn't training too much with the wood chopping. It's kind of fallen by the wayside, and I just went just to sort of represent, Ireland in the UK, and came out with a fifth without even trying. If you understand what I mean, I don't want to sound big-headed that way. It's just, it was just
No, I
way it
get you.
kind of felt. It
Obviously,
just
yeah.
everything just fell into place at the time, that kind of way. And then, having people come up to me then and say, "Geez, Gav, that was fairly good," just come over. And so I've been over to the UK a number of times for training with a couple of the good lads over there, and even then, the going back to America, for Hayward and Wisconsin. Um, I've been invited by guys to go to different competitions over there at some point. Maybe not this year, but because a lot of the season's nearly finished. But possibly next year, which will be, if things come off, that'd be brilliant.
Gavin, it sounds like a very supportive environment. Like, what's the culture of the sport like? Like, I remember going from sports to sports over the last 15 years, and some have got like toxic masculinity in them. Others are really supportive and friendly. But by the sounds of it, with people coming up to you and giving you advice and commendations, it's a relatively supportive environment.
Yeah, it's it's one of them because it's such a small community, especially worldwide. Um, it's it's so supportive, and to be honest with you, if, as you say, if you are trying to be that masculine macho man, you kind of, it's kind of shunned. Do you understand what I mean? It's not that kind of environment. Everyone's out to help each other. Um, if you see somebody struggling there, they'll come up and give you a hand. It's perfect example. I I was a bit unsure on the timing of one of the competitions, and one of the guys goes, "Gav, you're up next." And, oh, so I was in a bit rushed. I hadn't got my block up on the stand ready, but this guy came up to me and says, "Hey, Gav, you go and get your axes. Which way do you want your block setting up? I'll put the block in for you." And I went and got my axes, came back, he had it done for me. If you understand what I mean. If that was anything else, they would have probably just turned around and left you be. I don't know. But that was just a perfect example of it. And then just the example of traveling and that sort of thing. If it's like if you're getting on well with somebody, hey, when you're coming over next, stop at my place so you don't have to pay for Airbnb or hotel.
Oh, wow.
Just little things like that, that make the community what it is. And then another example then is people giving up the time to give a bit of training. Saturday morning, just gone. One of the guys that was over from Australia, guy got chatting to him on Friday, and I said, I'm just struggling with a certain aspect of the pockets for the springboards, as I was explaining. And he just turned around and says, what are you doing tomorrow morning? I says, nothing. Right, we'll go over to a girl's house that lived locally, give her $5 per training block, as we say, and we'll work on it. I was like, are you sure? He says, yeah, I'll meet you at 9 o'clock. There's another guy, Dakota, he's coming with us as well. I was like, oh, well, that's fantastic. It's like, so it's little bits like that, people giving up the time to help each other. It's fantastic.
When are you back in action? You were saying, is it that the season concluded there with the World Championships? When do you think you'll be in competitive action again?
So there's a number of competitions back in the UK. So I'm hopefully going to travel back across for them, over to I think it's actually in England is the next one, and then we're traveling to a place called Palace just outside Paris. My wife was all excited when I said I was going to be bringing her to Paris, and then found out it was for wood chopping. And that's in September, and then we have the Still World Championships team event. That's in Toulouse in the beginning of November.
Oh, brilliant! Okay, so you've got a pretty busy program ahead of you in that respect, and it's great to know that you're flying the flag for the Midlands, for Laois, and obviously for Ireland when it comes to these international events. Look, well done on your performance out in Wisconsin. It's great to know that there's someone from this region pushing the boundaries of Irish representation in the sport, and I think maybe we'll take some time to catch up with you again after your next couple of outings.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant, David, and I appreciate you contacting me and letting me talk about the sport. And it's a passion of mine, so it's always happy to try and spread the word that's what's going on.
Thanks again to Gavin for teaching us all a thing or two about what sounds like a genuinely great sport. DS Sports are a Laois sportswear company focused on innovation, high quality and continuous improvement. And now they're supporting health and fitness. You'll meet their founder next.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable service for all your sporting needs at DS Sports, with gear ready in as little as 5 days. Contact 085 87 15 311 or info@dssports.ie.
Midlands 103.
Next on the programme, we're about to talk to a man behind a company based in Laois that's partnering up with Health and Fitness to help support what we do here at Midlands 103. Darren Strong of DS Sports, founder, owner and ultimately the good captain of the ship for DS Sports, joins us this evening. Darren, thanks very much for taking our call.
Lovely, thanks for having me on. Not
at all. DS Sports, I think it's a name many of us will be familiar with, and we see the apparel and the gear on like the Laois ladies football team and a few other teams around the region as well. How are things going with DS Sports at the moment?
Yeah, actually very busy at the moment. It's the time of the year where a lot of our PE uniforms with the schools that we would have on board it's extremely busy coming into the start of school in end of August, early September. Then you have teams in championship at the moment, and we have soccer starting back in pre-season. So it's throughout the year there's always something different, some different sports starting, and throughout the year like we're constantly busy. So it's great, really.
Yeah, and like you just said there must be a pinch point in terms of pressure and busyness every couple of months, because once you get out of this back to school phase, the run up to Christmas comes up, and again that kind of turnover of footfall and customers, I imagine it's always up and down, but certainly there's times when it gets intense.
Yeah, especially now this month alone in our shop, it's actually very, very busy. We probably should be expanding the shop a bit more, but we're able to cope at the moment. Like I think we have 25 or 26 schools that buy PE uniform from us, and we stock that all year round. So the advantage of us having the school being on board with ourselves is if a child loses a top throughout the year, they can go online, order it, and have it delivered out within the next day or two. Then going into Christmas then as well, like you said, the shop actually gets really busy, and online store gets busy because all sports get on board with the kind of Christmas rush and the Christmas trying to get Christmas presents. So like each sport, doesn't matter what sport it is, soccer, football, basketball, everyone comes on board trying to get the Christmas market and get everyone sorted for presents and that.
Tell us then what motivates you about the work that you're doing, because you need motivation to be involved in such a kind of a pressurised and intense retail environment. What are the things that you want DS Sports to be about when it comes to its reputation and what people think about the brand?
To be honest, it doesn't feel like work, because when I was playing football all down through the years, I was always the one that was organising. Before I set up DS Sports, I was always the one that was organising the team wear, the team for the kits, and the team designs and that. So like when I set it up, when I was in my leash days of just selling gloves out of my gear bag, I never thought that it'd grow as big as it is. And now it's like a pinch yourself moment. I never thought I'd get here, and it's getting bigger every year. Now at the moment, like, we're producing jerseys in Emo as well, which is a huge plus for a company like us. It puts us up to the next step of the bigger brands, if you call them that. That we're able to. We've said like it's in our own hands. So if someone wants a set of jerseys in 2 or 3 days, we can do that, and that's no problem at all to us. We have stock of probably about 12 different colours in half zips, crew necks, gear bags, socks, shorts, everything, you name it, just to get that quick turnaround time knocked down, because people don't like waiting, and we try our best to get stuff out with as quick as we can.
Yeah, I imagine the environment you're in, that the patience for waiting is just getting smaller and smaller when it comes to customers. That's really interesting that you mentioned that before you got into this and set up DS Sports, that you were gravitating towards this anyway. And like you said there, it must be beyond pinch yourself moments to see kids and families walking past you on the street with DS Sports gear on.
Yeah, it is. It's actually really nice. The coolest part about it is when you're on holidays and you're in a different country altogether, and you see someone walking past you, you'd like to just say to them, look, yeah, I own that there. We made that for you. But I don't embarrass myself that much.
No, that's fantastic. I love that. Yeah, so as we finish up our chat, for someone with your background, Darren, for yourself with what you do, it's not a leap and a jump to suggest that sport is important to you personally. What do you think the value of sport is when it comes to our communities and our culture here in the Midlands, in Laois, Offaly, Westmeath and beyond? Obviously you've made a career and a life out of it ultimately. Yeah,
we would, and only for this sporting background, we wouldn't have. I don't think we'd have this business. The lot of contacts I would have built up throughout the years of meeting people, and the amount of people that you're still in contact with, and just with DS Sports, like, you're always involved in some sort of sporting team and it just shows like the level of community spirit within the committees, the top tables, and that when you're dealing with them, they're all just your everyday kind of person running the shows, and they're always looking out for the best interest of the kids and the best interest of the clubs. Yeah, so it's a huge community thing, every club that you deal with.
Well, hopefully from O'Moore Park all the way to Croke Park, DS Sports will be emblazoned into the future, Darren. Look, we really appreciate you taking the time to chat to us, because I know you've been absolutely slammed today, and obviously very grateful and delighted that you're partnering with ourselves here at the station as well. So thanks very much.
No problem. Thanks very much for having me on, guys.
There's a 24-hour soccer marathon taking place in the Midlands. You'll find out where and why next.
Health and fitness
with DS Sports, the teamwear specialists. Experience lightning fast delivery and unbeatable
There's a big
service
weekend
for
coming
all
up
your
in
sporting
Offaly,
needs
specifically
at DS
in
Sports.
Eton
With
Derry.
Gear Ready in as
Derry
little as
Rovers,
5
the
days.
local soccer
Contact
club,
085
are
87
running a
15
24-hour
311 or info at
football marathon
dssports.ie.
as a fundraiser for the football club. I'm very glad to say that the chair of the club, John McNamee, joins us to look forward to the event. John, a 24-hour football marathon. I've actually not come across this in my time, either playing football or covering health and fitness for the radio station here. Tell us what's in store. This is from Saturday afternoon right through 24 hours to Sunday afternoon this weekend.
Yeah, David, this is something that has been kind of in the back of the mind for the last number of years to do. And obviously, as the club has grown over the last few years, by having so many teams, it's kind of getting easier to fill the slot to make it happen over 24 hours. So we're kicking off Saturday at 2 p.m. in the club's ground there at Bryans Park. It's going to be a family fun day. Obviously, the football taking centre course, and we're kicking off with our junior academy. And then we're working all the way through. All our teams will be on the field through different hour slots, through the different age groups, right up to senior, with the senior men team and the senior ladies also taking part. We're also going to have like a family fun day. There's going to be a food van, and there's going to be ice creams and stuff like that as well. And it's all obviously great to have Midlands 103 doing a live broadcast on the roadcaster also.
Yeah, we're absolutely delighted to be down there this weekend. So there must be a serious amount of teams available to fill these slots. Like, who have you got lined up? I presume the underage teams will be home and tucked in bed for these midnight matches. I presume that'll be going on over the weekend.
I'd say after anything like my own son, the last place to be is in bed. They're the ones that would be wanting to be there. They're the ones that want to be there in the evening time. It's also older folks are probably looking for the couch at that stage of the evening. But no, like it's going, as I said, it's starting out from our under 16, then our 7s, 8s, 9s, and so on. And like I said, the seniors and then the committee are taking part in a late night slot as well. And the senior teams also, like I said, the senior men or senior ladies are taking the midnight hours.
That's great stuff. It's a really interesting idea. I think as well, if you can get people together out of hours, joined together for a meeting and a cause like this, then it can only add to the sense of place and the connection that people will have with the club.
Yeah, definitely. Like as I said, we're a club for all, family orientated. My family, I've come through it as a child, and all my kids are playing up there as well. Like many of us can tell the same story. Even if you don't want to play a football, we will find a job and a role in the club for you also.
Tell us, what does the club mean to you personally? You have a long history with it.
Wow, yeah, it means everything. It's number one, friends. I've met friends for life from playing and being up in the club. When we were growing up, it gave us somewhere to go and feel part of a team. And now it's just time to give back. Now the knees don't allow me to play anymore, so we're on committee levels and we're managing teams. But look, it's a wonderful club full of wonderful people, but wouldn't be possible without our players and the parents of the kids bringing them up. Like our annual summer camp every year, 150 plus children, that sells out in, I think the record sellout was this year 25 minutes. We had that booked out, so
wow,
I think we're doing something right. But like I said, the most important thing is keeping the kids busy and giving them somewhere to go and somewhere to play and feel part of something.
It's interesting as well. I think when you go through the process of getting older, you have your own children, you reflect back on your time as a young person, you suddenly see the value of these clubs as social pillars and places for young people to ultimately see good role models that they can learn from.
Yeah, definitely. Like I remember Eddie Mooney was our coach when we were 12, and like just when you were talking there, I was thinking, how long am I involved? And I'm 44 now, so very easy math from that to say 32 years. And like Eddie's still involved in the club, and still someone we have huge respect for and would have as we've grown up as kids.
What about the prospects of the club going forward? What are the big sort of targets over the next 12 or 18 months or ambitions that Derry Rovers has in terms of progressing the club itself or teams finding a way to be more competitive? What are the things on the horizon from Derry Rovers' perspective?
Definitely the coaches are going through continuous training with the FAI, and the local development officer, Gary Seary, has been very good putting on courses, obviously to teach us new drills and stuff like that as well. But if you were to ask me, the ultimate goal, it would be definitely an 11-a-side all-weather pitch. So that would be the way to go. So you can have football all year round and not be worrying about the weather in October, November. Are we going to be on? Are we going to be off?
Yeah, talk to us about the fundraiser then. Like, where do you see those funds being most active at the moment for you?
Well, definitely going into the underage section, providing equipment. Obviously, as everybody knows, from a personal level, the cost of living is after going through the roof. As when we have our floodlights turned on, our running of the club has gone through the roof. Even little small things like the price of petrol has had a big impact on us also when it comes to maintaining pitches. So definitely the development of the underage team, equipment, jerseys, continuous improvement in the club and the cost of running the club. But also, like I said, we are looking at having 11-a-side AstroTurf pitch, so that would be for everybody from small to our walking football team. That's our over 40 team. We actually play walking football as well.
Good stuff. Have you ever tried your hand at the walking football, actually?
I have, and you know what? It's a lot harder than you think it would be.
I've watched it before, and it actually looks like one of the most skillful games you could end up playing.
Yeah, you always want to run, and I'm sure every group is the same, but the group we play with are just super competitive. If you even walk fast, they're checking you.
I'd say so. It sounds like there's lots to look forward to and a fairly bright future and prospect for Derry Rovers. A final word then, John, is the growth of the club. It seems to have expanded massively over the course of the last sort of 10 or 15 years. I imagine with our population trajectory and where you're based in Eden Derry, you're expecting membership of the club and the population around Eden Derry to continue rising.
Oh, 100%. And like we're in the centre of all the schools in the town as well. So not only the club use the facility, but the schools use it also for PE classes as well. But like back when the club first started, it was all Eden Derry people. And now there's, like you said, people moving into the town. And it's great to see, and it's great to see the numbers growing. Only last year we've launched our senior ladies team, and that's something that we've always looked to do, to provide females somewhere to play. And it's great to see how well they're going. I think they're sitting second in the league at the moment, and they're competing very well. And they put us men to shame when they feel some of the ability to have.
Just on that, actually, John, I wanted to ask you, considering that you've set up the women's team just recently in the last year or two, what have you observed in terms of the level of competition of club football for women at that level?
Yeah, it's very, very competitive. And like, without sounding degrading, the ability when I first saw it kind of struck me. Like the movement of the ball, it's actually very, very good. And like I said, the games are competitive, and like you wouldn't nearly realise how good it was unless you went to watch it. But we've 5 players last year from the club represent the league representative team with the KDFL. So the played for Kildare last year, and it was great to have that in your first year as well. Like, it's only going from strength to strength.
Yeah, it's a real area of growth potential for football generally across the country, and commendations to Derry Rovers for getting it up and running recently. The very best of luck with this 24-hour football marathon. I think it's a great and a fairly novel idea that hopefully we'll see replicated across the Midlands. For the moment though, John, thanks again for joining us on Health and Fitness this evening.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, David, and I just urge everybody, I think the weather's going to be good for tomorrow. So I urge everybody, if they have an hour or two to spare, even just come up and walk around. We have a track around the pitch, so if you want to come up and sample the atmosphere, there'll be a lot going on, not only football. So it'd be great to see everybody.
Yeah, exactly that. We'll echo those thoughts, and we'll see everybody down there. You've been very good to clearly you're on the side of a road there, giving us your time this evening. So thanks again, John, and take care.
Brilliant, David. Really appreciate it, and thanks again.
We're done for another week on health and fitness. Thanks to you for listening. Joe Cooney is ready to bring you Country Roads after the news at 8. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.